I'd like to call to order the Township of Aleppo workshop meeting of February 9th, 2026. If we could all rise for the pledge of allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
President Luca?
Here.
Vice President Williams?
Here.
Commissioner Jones?
Present.
Commissioner Michael?
Here.
Manager Patterson?
Here.
And Solicitor Jewett?
Present.
Thank you.
I'd like to remind everyone that this meeting, as are all of our meetings, are recorded and available for the public, so that anyone who wants to watch it can watch it. You have in your packet the minutes from the legislative meeting of January 19th. I would entertain a motion to approve them.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Frances Amatucci presented a small introduction to us at the last meeting. She had approached the commission with an interest in serving as a commissioner. We do have an open commission seat that we need to appoint. But I just wanted to do just a little synopsis of who we are and what we represent. We have a wonderfully representative commission. We currently have one member from the Ridge, we have one at large, we have one from Masonic, and one from the Manor. So we have representatives from all angles of the township. And if we were to decide tonight to appoint Frances, she would be an additional commissioner from, where do I live? The Manor. We have one business owner, one president of a nonprofit. We have two retired members. We have one who's full-time employed. I feel sorry for you. And if we choose to appoint Frances, we would have a recently retired professor. So we're also very diverse background-wise, which I think is a positive thing for us. We're required to do this appointment, and I'm going to let Anna explain that to you as our solicitor, why we're doing it, when we're doing it, and how we're doing it. Anna, please.
Yeah, so anytime you are required by law to keep your full slate of commissioners, you're the elected governing body of the township, and you can't really operate with fewer than you have. So whenever a vacancy occurs, the board is given 30 days from the date of that vacancy to fill the empty seat. If you are unable to find or agree upon a person to serve in that appointed position, it does have to go to a vacancy board, which has 14 days to make an appointment. If they fail to do so, then it has to go to the court. So there is a level of urgency with which you have to act when a vacancy occurs. Vacancies are only filled until the end of the term that was vacated, until the next municipal election. So this would be a term that would expire at the end, we'll say it's really the 1st January of the next, following the municipal election. So you're looking at about 2 years for this one. So that's why you're acting on it now. That's the gist of how long it will run. The person who fills the appointed position would then have to run again if they want to continue their seat. And so they would run in the next municipal election in 2027. Does that answer all questions?
Is there any discussion about Frances, about what she represents, what we're doing, why we're doing it, how long we're doing it?
No.
No.
I would entertain a motion to appoint Frances Amatucci.
I move to appoint Frances Amatucci to serve as Aleppo Township Commissioner.
Second.
Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Welcome Frances as the new commissioner for Aleppo Township. And thank you for stepping up. Old business. The Act 172 volunteer tax credit exonerations. Annually, Gwen puts a list together of volunteers for the fire department, Aleppo Township Volunteer Fire Department, and also Quaker Valley Ambulance Authority. of people who meet their requirements to be defined as volunteers, as first responders, and they get a tax credit. That will be, I believe, Gwen, on the agenda for the legislative meeting, am I correct?
Yes, the board has to vote to exonerate them from the requirement to pay that tax refund. And then once the board votes on that, then the township issues a refund check for those who meet the requirements, live in Aleppo, and paid their property taxes.
Great, thank you, Gwen. New business, we need to designate new authorized signers for the PNC Bank General Fund. I believe it has to show in the minutes who we're gonna designate to do that, am I correct? And traditionally, it's been the president, vice president, treasurer, and the township secretary, am I correct?
Yes.
Do we have to designate that by motion, or does it just have to show in the minutes?
I'm gonna put a motion on the agenda for next week, just to make sure that that's as formal as we can be, so the bank can really believe us. Yes.
I'm sure George would like that. George is getting writer's cramp. How long have you signed checks, George? A long time.
Long time,
You probably have carpal tunnel. Like
even tonight.
You're still it.
also,
That's why I shortened my signature.
to an X. Also on the agenda for the legislative meeting will be the exoneration of the tax collector for real estate taxes, and basically what that is it says that Clayton has turned over all of the taxes that he has collected, and we exonerate him from getting into trouble for not doing that. Am I correct, Solicitor?
You are correct.
Okay. And the other thing that we'll see on the legislative agenda will be to deputize Jordan Tax Service for the collection of our real estate taxes for the township. I believe that's done by motion as well.
Yeah, so Jordan Tax requires an agreement. It's technically through Clayton as tax collector with Jordan Tax. They act as his deputy, but we have to approve that agreement. So that should be a simple motion to authorize entry into that agreement.
Wonderful. And
I'll
that'll
check
be
with
on-
you about the language of the motion.
Yep.
That will be on the legislative agenda as well?
Yes.
Okay. We received a letter from the executive director of Masonic that I wish Tim was here to hear, that I think is wonderful enough to want to share. Dear Gwen, I wanted to take a minute to say thank you to the road crew for the attention to our roads, especially Deer Run during the most recent snowstorm. The amount of snow we received over such a long time span was a huge challenge. Deer Run Road was always passable, and we appreciate the work your team did to make that happen. And that's from Tracy Leha Krebs, who is the Chief Executive Officer of Masonic. And I would just like to add my own little kudos to our Public Works team. They were wonderful. I texted Tim the night before the snowstorm to say, hey Tim, what do you need? What do you need to stay safe? Whatever. And Tim's response was, Tim, I got this. And he had it. They did a wonderful job. That attitude of we got this when you're going to get 13 to 14 inches of snow is a pretty great attitude. So thank you, Tim. Citizen participation. I believe we have 2 presentations. Tim, if you would like to address the commission.
Thank you, Judy. I want to thank everybody for allowing me to talk to you tonight. I am here because I need some help getting some important legislation passed, this energy legislation. We all know that power prices are going up, and one of the ways to remedy that is solar power. What do you do if you want the benefits of solar power, which is they get a break on your power bill and reduce fossil fuel use? If you're a resident in one of the 26 states that already have it, you can sign up for community solar, which means you can subscribe to the output of a solar farm and get a credit on your electric bill. Currently, Pennsylvania doesn't have a provision to allow that. That's what the piece of legislation I brought to you tonight, HB 504, is meant to remedy. It was passed out of the House, is now sitting in committee in the Senate, and there's a move on to get municipalities to come up with resolutions of support for it. In your packets, you will find a copy of the legislation. a couple of explanatory flyers, and some Q&A that George and Gwen were nice enough to contribute to. The answers came from Ella Wynn Corby of Volt Solar. In addition, if you would direct your attention to the screen, I have an explanatory video from the Energy Advisory Group Energy Sage. Dave?
Solar panels on your roof provides loads of different benefits, both financial and environmental. Going solar isn't for everyone. That's what makes community solar such a great alternative option. If you either can't or don't want to put solar panels on your rooftop, community solar is a great way to participate in the clean energy revolution and save some money by doing so, all without putting solar panels on your roof. Here's what you need to know about how community solar works. Community solar projects are large, centralized solar power installations whose electricity is shared by more than a single property. For that reason, community solar is often also referred to as shared solar or solar gardens. To participate in community solar, all you need is an electricity bill and to live in an area with virtual net metering and available community solar program. From there, you can either purchase a share of a community solar installation, so say all of the output from a certain number of solar panels, or you can just subscribe to the installation to receive reduced electricity bills. You'll still have your main electricity bill from your utility, but it will be reduced by a certain amount by participating in community solar. At the same time, you'll pay the community solar provider, but less than you would have paid your utility for that electricity. Say you have a $120 per month bill, and you subscribe to $100 worth of electricity from a community solar project with a 10% discount. Each month, you'll pay $90 to the community solar provider, and they'll cover $100 worth of your electricity bill. That's simple. Community solar projects are usually large enough to power hundreds of homes or apartments, and that economy of scale means they're often lower cost to build than a solar panel system on your home, at least from a dollar per watt perspective. That's one way that community solar providers can offer discounted electricity. The other is because community solar farms provide both environmental and economic benefits to the grid as a whole. They make low-cost, zero-emission electricity, which can reduce the cost of electricity for everyone on the grid. And while in the past, subscribing to community solar often meant long contract terms and strict cancellation policies, times are very much changing. It's become much easier to sign up for community solar for a shorter period of time and end the contract when you move, or when you put solar on your own roof. One important thing to note is that community solar still isn't available everywhere in the US. To see if it's available in your area, head to the Energy Sage Community Solar Marketplace at communitysolar.energysage.com today to compare your project options and see how much you can save through community solar. Thanks for watching. Let us know in the comments what other questions you have about all things home energy, and be sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss any of our videos.
Thank you, David. So, at this point, what I'd like you guys to do is digest the information that you have, and we'll get back together at another session, and you can let me know what you think about offering up a resolution of support. At this point, Allegheny County, Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, and about 8 other municipalities have signed on. We have 10 total, with Lower Marion Township next to Philadelphia having just signed on. So, ending comment is that there is so much happening in the energy space. You cannot know too much about this, whether it's renewables, EVs, whatever. I can give you excellent sources that you can do some homework with, and I'm at your service in regard to covering any of it. So,
Tim, do we have a farm, a large solar farm somewhere near us?
I would have to look into that, Judy.
Like where would we get, if we did community solar, where would we get that power from, or would it have to be built?
It would probably have to be built. I've heard that there's more solar up north. There's another big solar farm going in somewhere else in the state, but we've dropped, in the past decade, we've dropped from like top 10 to like 40, 42, you know, because, you know, it's just fallen out. You know, there've been too much lobbying in Harrisburg, too much, you know, it's just, and you have the administration currently cutting the legs out of renewables across the board. So it's slowed down here. What we're trying to do is open up the possibility of getting more solar built. You know, this is just the starting block. This is the opportunity
Thank you, Tim.
to have this happen.
We will take a look at it. Yes, ma'am.
I can make a quick comment in, and that is that in Elizabethtown, Masonic
Yeah.
has a large array of solar, and they have since 2011. So we're going to be over at Masonic Village tomorrow. The Sustainability Committee is having a meeting tomorrow with the individual, Patterson, I think his last name is, I'm not sure, but he's the one to speak with about, we're going to question him about solar, because we're questioning the possibility of having some solar over at Masonic.
Great. Thank you, Tim.
Okay,
Appreciate
thank
it.
you, Judy. Again, anything, and just, you know how to get a hold of me. You know, if you need anything, sources, discussion,
Thank you,
know.
Tim.
Measure
There's a lot of
service.
material here. I'd like to kind of read it.
I measure
and
service.
look at it. Thank you. Gail, I believe you have a presentation
I
to us
do.
as well.
It will be short. Hold on. I have to read mine. I didn't get a chance to practice too much because my granddaughter in Rockville, Maryland, their school had a shooting in the school, and I heard from my son, lockdown, she was in lockdown, and I'm still waiting to hear, you know, the results, but I heard that at least they apprehended the shooter, and the kids were gonna start to be able to go home. All right, so I'm
Excuse
gonna.
me, Madam President.
Yes,
It's
sir.
generally important for the speakers to announce who they are and where they live.
Thank
So
you,
the first speaker
Mr.
was-
Jones.
Tim Kelly, 205 Trailside Drive.
Thank you.
Okay, and I'm Gail
Thank you.
Neustadt, 2413 Masonic Village, and I am also on the Planning Commission. And I thank you so much for letting me have my 5 minutes talk today. And I appreciate this, this being included on the workshop agenda because this topic, which has to do with AI, has been developing over time, and a workshop is the right place to address it at the policy level. I want to begin by noting that this is not a new concern. In my role on the Planning Commission, I raised concerns about limitations in our zoning ordinance many months ago. And I had an in-depth discussion with Gwen in January about those limitations. And I believe you have a copy of our agenda and what was discussed at that time. I provided commissioners with a copy of that agenda, so you have some history and context. What brought additional urgency to this issue was the link and contact I had received from a consultant who works with municipalities on community benefit agreements related to AI facilities and data centers. No proposal was presented, and I didn't engage further, although he wanted to connect. I said, no, thank you at this time. But the outreach itself was a reminder that municipalities like Aleppo are being identified and evaluated, sometimes informally, for this type of development. That prompted me to look again into our ordinance through a preparedness lens. Under Aleppo Township's current zoning ordinance, conditional use review and environmental impact study requirements apply almost exclusively to oil and gas development. Other infrastructure-intensive uses are not clearly defined and do not trigger comparable review, performance standards, or impact analysis. As a result, the level of scrutiny applied to a project depends more on how it is categorized than on the magnitude of its actual impacts. At the same time, municipalities across Pennsylvania are seeing growing interest in AI computer facilities, data centers, and related infrastructure. These uses are fundamentally different from traditional commercial or light industrial development, which is what they'd like you to think they are. They often operate 24 hours a day, require substantial electrical capacity, rely on large-scale cooling systems, generate continuous mechanical noise, use backup generators, and can place real demands on our water systems and emergency services. As our ordinance is currently written, a facility with these characteristics could potentially be reviewed under broad use categories that were never designed to evaluate those impacts. Once an application is submitted, the township's ability to require additional studies or impose meaningful conditions becomes limited. That places our township in a reactive position rather than a proactive one. I also want to emphasize that this discussion should not be limited to ordinance text alone. Our zoning map reflects past land use assumptions, and if we are considering whether our regulations adequately address modern infrastructure intensive uses, the map itself should be reviewed and likely updated to ensure it aligns with current planning goals and constraints. Regional coordination through the Ohio River Council of Governments should also be part of that broader evaluation. My purpose tonight is not to recommend approval or denial of any use, and it's not to suggest that a project is imminent. It is to raise a policy issue that has been developing over time, whether our zoning ordinance, SALDO, and zoning map reflect current realities, and whether the township should proactively review and clarify them before we are forced to interpret them under pressure. What I'm asking the board to consider is whether to give direction to staff, the planning commission, or the solicitor to formally evaluate these issues and report back with options. Addressing this now protects our residents, infrastructure, and the township's decision-making authority. Waiting until an application is submitted significantly narrows those options. Thank you for your time and consideration.
You know, just a little
Yeah.
bit of just a tiny clarification. Are you speaking here tonight as a planning commission member or as a private citizen?
As a private citizen.
Okay.
I just said I am on the planning
Okay.
commission, but
No, I just wanted to clarify
Right.
for my own.
Right, okay. As a-
Thank you, and we will look into this.
Okay, great, thank you.
Gwen, are you able to have a conversation maybe with Ben about what our limitations are, what our?
Yeah, like
And just take a look at it
Yeah.
and see where we are. with it?
HRG helped develop the ordinances, so their consultants on Ben's team would be ones who could help review for any amendments.
Wonderful, that'd be a good place to
Yeah.
start. Thank you, Gail, I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Is there any other citizen participation? Given that there is none, I'd like to adjourn the meeting at 7:24 to a celebration of President George Jones.